Have you ever been working in Illustrator and had to deal with some of your design elements sticking out the artboard? You'll agree with me, it can quickly get out of control and become distracting. Well, my name is Oscar Obianenwe, and today I'll be showing you how to think inside the box. When working with a tool as powerful as Adobe Illustrator, you'll often find that there are multiple ways to accomplish certain tasks, in which case it all boils down to finding the most efficient method for your process. So, in this tutorial, I'll be showing you 3 ways to crop your artwork in Illustrator. And if you're nice enough to stick with me till the end, I'll even show you a 4th way. So let's get to it. I'll be using this artwork as an example because it contains multiple layers and groups of objects with complex relationships and effects as you'd find in a typical Illustrator artwork. This will allow me to show you some of the problems that may crop up as you apply the various methods of cropping. The first method is what I like to call cut it and forget it. As the name implies, this involves going in and directly cutting or deleting objects that spill out the artboard. There are various ways to approach this. One way is to use the crop button under the Pathfinder panel. If you don't see the Pathfinder panel, you can activate it under Window, Pathfinder. Now, while this may seem like the best, most obvious tool for the job, it is probably the worst and least recommended. You'll see why shortly. First, select all objects. Ensure that none of the overhanging objects are locked. Then click on Object, Expand Appearance. Again, with all objects still selected, click on Object, Expand to expand any remaining objects. Then click OK. Repeat the last step until the dialog box doesn't show up anymore. Now, click to deselect all objects. Select the rectangle tool and draw a rectangle the size of the artboard. Smart guides should help with that. Never mind the color of the rectangle. Right-click on the rectangle and under Arrange, bring to front to ensure it is above all other objects. Press Ctrl or Command A on your keyboard to select all objects in the document. Now, go to the Pathfinder panel and click on the crop button. You can immediately notice some of the problems it creates. Some effects are lost and object relationships are broken. It's basically a mess of broken shapes. I'll spare you some of the emotional trauma. Another way to approach this, which I think is neater, is to use the Shape Builder tool. Select all the objects and fully expand, just like the last time. Then draw a rectangle the size of the artboard. Never mind the color. Ensure it is above all other objects. Then press Ctrl or Command A on your keyboard to select all objects in the document. Select the Shape Builder tool and, while holding the Alt or Option key, draw across the parts and shapes you don't need. When you're done, you can delete the rectangle. Obviously, this is a much better way to crop your artwork. It is not the best, but it is useful in simpler situations. Bear in mind that it is also destructive. A clipping mask. This method involves putting all the object layers into a clipping mask, essentially hiding parts and shapes outside the mask. It is also non-destructive and easy to apply at any point in your project. To do this, select the rectangle tool and draw across the size of the artboard. The smart guides should help with accuracy. Never mind the color of the rectangle, this will be your mask. Right-click on the rectangle, arrange, bring to front to ensure it is above all other objects. Then press Ctrl or Command A on your keyboard to select all objects in the document. Right-click and make clipping mask. You can immediately see that all shapes and objects outside the rectangle are hidden. You can also see this reflected in the Layers panel. And although the individual shapes are no longer directly accessible because they are in a clipping group, you can still manipulate them by double-clicking to get into the clipping group. and double-clicking anywhere outside the group to exit the clipping group. just as you would any other group in Illustrator. You can also reverse the process by simply right-clicking and selecting Release Clipping Mask. And because it is non-destructive, your effects and object relationships remain intact. If you need to create new objects outside the clipping mask, create a new layer and draw your object as usual. To bring it within the boundaries, drag the object into the clipping mask group in the Layers panel. But what if you didn't need to fuss around with clipping groups and inaccessible layers? Enter the layer-based clipping mask. This is very much like the clipping mask method mentioned previously, but with the added advantage of keeping your objects directly accessible without locking them behind a clipping mask. It is most definitely the best method in my opinion. To apply it in a multi-layered document like this one, create a new layer from the Layers panel. Ensure it is above all other layers. I'll name it Master Layer. Now place all other layers into this layer. Select the Master Layer and draw a rectangle across the page just like before. This will serve as the crop boundary. Ensure that the rectangle is listed above all other layers in the Master Layer. With the Master Layer selected, go to the bottom of the Layers panel and click Make or Release Clipping Mask. Select the rectangle and click here to lock the object to avoid any accidental transformations. You can just as easily reverse this effect by clicking on the same button. As you can see, not only is the overall artwork cropped, you still have direct access to the individual shapes and objects. Any other object you add within the influence of the Master Layer is also automatically cropped. And if for some reason you need to create a shape without the cropping effect, you can create a new layer outside the Master Layer and place your shape there. If you're working in a single layered document, all you need to do is draw a rectangle across the page and place it above every other layer. Select the parent layer and click Make or Release Clipping Mask. If you've stuck with me up until this point, you deserve a cookie. Seriously. So I'll give you a bonus tip. If you found the previous methods too complex to apply, you can simply go on with your artwork, and when you're done, click on File, Export, Export As. Set your export folder. In the Save As Type drop-down menu, select any of the available image formats including JPEG, PNG, PSD or TIFF. I'll choose JPEG in this example. And more importantly, check Use Artboard. This will tell Illustrator to export only the parts of the artwork within the boundaries of the artboard. Now click Export. I'm fine with the settings here, so I'll click OK again. Here's a preview of the image. Notice all the extras are gone. So to recap, the first method is to expand all shapes and effects. Draw a rectangle the size of the artboard. Select all and delete all the extras with the Shape Builder tool. The second method is to simply draw a rectangle size of the artboard above all the other shapes. Select all, right-click and make Clipping Mask. Or you can draw a rectangle and place it above the others, just like before, and click Make or Release Clipping Mask. And as a bonus, export your file in any image format and check Use Artboard. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And remember, creativity begins with a spark. Thanks for watching.